The Living World Energy Flow by Group 2.
Living and non-living components. Two types of components that make up the biosphere are biotic and abiotic. Abiotic are non-living things such as water, air, nutrients, solar energy, and etc. Biotic things are living and once living things such as animal, plants, and microbes. Each population has a different range of tolerance of physical and chemical variations. Individuals within a population also have different tolerances of temperature and other factors based on size, age, and health. Limiting factors. Limiting factor principle. Too much or too little of any abiotic factor can limit or prevent growth of a population, even if all other factors are at or near the optimal range of tolerance. An example of limiting factor on land would be precipitation, soil, nutrients, or temperature. Example of limiting factors in aquatic zones would be temperature, sunlight, nutrient availability, salinity, and the low solubility of oxygen in water.
So every organism is assigned to a trophic level or feeding level in the ecosystem, and there are two main types. They're separated into producers, who are autotrophs, and consumers, who are heterotrophs. These different levels of consumers include primary consumers, called herbivores, usually herbivores, secondary consumers, usually called carnivores, and third or higher level consumers, which compose of omnivores, decomposers, and detritivores. Producers get enough energy through both photosynthesis and chemosynthesis when sunlight is not available, and consumers get energy from producers, or the consumers that they eat. They only get about 10% of the energy that they consume. Aerobic respiration uses oxygen to convert glucose or other organic nutrient molecules back to carbon dioxide and water, and some decomposers get the energy they need by breaking down glucose or other organic molecules in the absence of oxygen. This form of cellular respiration is called anaerobic respiration or fermentation.
Okay, so there's a food chain, which is a sequence of organisms, each that serve as like a source of food and energy for the next. And a food web is basically like a bunch of food chains that are all interconnected that concern a certain ecosystem. And each trophic level in a chain or web has a certain amount of biomass, which is the dry weight of all organic matter contained in its organisms. The biomass is what is transferred through each trophic level. And like mentioned before, with each transfer, some energy is degraded or lost. So the amount of usable energy is, it's called ecological efficiency. And next up is energy types and transfer. There is kinetic energy, which is also known as moving energy, such as wind and flowing water. Heat is the total kinetic energy of all moving atoms, ions, or molecules. Heat can be transferred by radiation, conduction, and convection. Electromagnetic radiation is when the energy travels in the form of a wave as a result of changes in the energy and magnetic fields. Another type of energy is the potential energy, which is energy stored and potentially available for use. Energy flow pyramids explain why the Earth can support more people if they eat at lower trophic levels by consuming grains, vegetables, and fruits directly.
High-quality energy is known as to be concentrated and has a high capacity to do useful work, and it is also known as high-temperature heat. Low-quality energy is dispersed and has little capacity to do useful work, and the heat is dispersed in little molecules. The first law of conservation of energy is that the energy can neither be created nor destroyed. The first law of thermodynamics states that when energy is converted from one form to another, no energy is created nor destroyed. The second law of thermodynamics states that when energy changes from one form to another, we always end up with lower quality energy, and heat is usually given off. Energy efficiency is the measure of how useful work is accomplished by a particular input of energy into a system. Cycles called biogeochemical cycles or nutrient cycles are driven directly or indirectly by incoming solar energy and gravity, and include the hydrologic, carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur cycles. As nutrients move through geochemical cycles, they may accumulate in one portion of the cycle and remain there for different lengths of time, also known as reservoirs. Nutrient cycles connect the past, present, and future forms of life.
So a system is a set of components that function and interact in some regular way. Inputs and outputs flow through a matter of energy A feedback is any process that changes a system. There are two different feedback loops. There's a positive feedback loop, which causes a system to change further in the same direction. A negative feedback loop, which is the second kind, causes a system to change in the opposite direction it is moving. This concludes our PowerPoint. Thank you.